Hello, good evening everybody, welcome along to the PSGL F2 Season 30 Round 9 here at the Netherlands on the PlayStation tier. I am your commentator, only one here tonight, which is why we've gone back to the olden days when it comes to how we're doing our streams. I haven't got any other fancy graphics or any of the Elgazos and stuff like that, so we're doing it the way I used to do it. And I'm gonna not remind myself how long I've been at this now, but I am your commentator tonight. I shall hopefully entertain you throughout. Sorry for the little delay, we were waiting for a couple of drivers to show up, but we do appear to have everyone here now, so we'll be hoping to get everything sorted out sooner rather than later. And fingers crossed we can get some racing tonight. While we wait for everything to get ready up, I might as well take you through the driver standings at the moment. We have got Burak as the championship leader. He is racing in the Mercedes, assuming he's actually here, of course. Would be useful to know. There he is in the Mercedes. He's currently got 73 points. He is 23 clear of Devon, who's in second place. Came up from F3 last season, having a very good debut season. I wonder if he's looking at going straight the way up to F1 in the future. We'll wait to see on that one. Someone else who's definitely looking for is Valentin. He got the win last time in Spa. Now that was 2 weeks ago. We had the break week just recently, and he's trying to make a bit of a comeback because he's had a few sort of iffy moments. He last won in Silverstone, which was round 2, and since then has only really scored 5 points between then and his most recent win in Spa, and he still finds himself third in the championship. So we can get back some form that he had at the start of the season. He started with 2 podiums. Could he be in the title fight as well? Hopefully. But again, looking down the list, he's not here tonight, so again it messes with the consistency. So I'm keeping his name in the mix, and we've still got 7 rounds. He may only participate in about 6 of them now. Elsewhere we've got CC Brain, we've got Tom as well up there in the point standings, and yeah, we'll see how it all goes. But I'd say mainly tonight we'll be looking at seeing if Baraka can actually extend his championship lead, because we know he had the potential last season to win the title. It all sort of fell apart for him in the last couple of rounds. This time he's got a much better advantage, and he has scored points in every single race so far this season. He has been by far the most consistent. The lowest points he's actually scored was in Belgium, and even then that was 4 points. Not the end of the world. So it's all going terribly well for him so far. Elsewhere in the constructor standings, we have got Alfa Romeo on top on 74. They're only leading by the 2 points to Mercedes, so that one is a little bit closer in that championship, and they just took over that lead last week, in fact, after the Belgium race. So we are loading into the lobby. Hopefully everyone's here, and if they are, then we can hopefully have an entertaining race. Now, we know that this track isn't necessarily the best one for overtaking. You tend to get a lot of DRS trains which tend not to go anywhere, so it would be all about the strategy. And even then, it's going to be a one-stop, isn't it? They all have it pretty well worked out. So you'll see if we get any weather that might interrupt things, make it a bit more difficult for them. But for qualifying anyway, it is all going to be dry, and I imagine everyone's probably going to be doing their runs on the soft compound of tyre. So 18 minutes of qualifying. I reckon you'll probably get 3 or 4 runs in. It is one of the shorter tracks on the calendar, but you of course only get 3 sets of softs, so I wouldn't be at all surprised to see a couple of people doing their banker laps just on the mediums to get themselves bedded in and to not waste any tyres. And we will wait for the first drivers to come out, hopefully very soon indeed. I am worried that there does tend to sometimes be a bit of a delay on it, but luckily our timer appears to be working this week. That means we can get the first driver out there. It will be Andrea, and he has actually gone straight for the soft, so no messing about. We've seen a few times this season that in qualifying, it doesn't tend to actually be always the final lap which decides the pole position. It can actually end up being your first or second one, because it does actually have a lot of balls we've seen in recent sort of weeks, and especially on a track like this where there's so many things that can go wrong. Every lap here should be crucial. A few have gone out on mediums and are certainly intending on doing so. Not everyone is going for Andrea's sort of strategy. And traffic could be a problem around here as well. Again, it's a tight, twisty track, and it's a short one at that. So when you have all 17 cars out there, we'll need to keep our eye on who is going to be where. And we will see. There's a few people still coming out. I do even wonder if Andrea's going to come across people at the start of his lap. We'll go for a lap around the track on board when he's getting ready to start his lap, and we will see what the drivers are going to be tackling tonight. We've got the qualifying session, then we have 36 lap long race. Obviously no idea on what the weather's going to be like. We never get told this in the commentary box. The game has no actual way of telling us, which I think is a bit silly actually, but I suppose it keeps the tension up a little bit as we head through turn 1. The curbs can be lethal here. If you touch them sort of too much, it can easily send you for a spin, and I imagine that might well be what just happened to Steph there, as Andrea got past through that kink at turn 2. It can easily get you wrong. If you hit the curb too much on the left on the way in, it can sort of turn your car into a skateboard, and you can end up all over the place. I'll be interested to see how everyone's gears are through turn 8 actually, as they all sort of head through, because I am, or at least the fast right-hander, because a lot of people actually would sort of prefer using the higher gears. That's at least what I tend to do, to stop the car from bottoming out, because if you go down a bit too low you can end up in some trouble. But we'll see the various sort of methods. It's looking a sort of clean and tidy lap from Andrea. I wouldn't necessarily say it would be sort of the fastest time. Again, it is just going to be all for bankers this. As round the final banked corner we go. In the early laps of the race, when your tyres are overheating, that last corner can be a little difficult when you just have the high loads going through, so watch out for that one at the start of the race as well. But that is the first time on the board. All has gone well for Andrea. Kryptonite on mediums has gone second fastest, over half a second off. It's about the delta you'd be expecting on these medium tyres today. Tom has now replaced Andrea in P1. It is a Shizou 1 and 2 as it stands. And now Cameron Dowd has now gone and beaten his time. We've already got some of the close gaps out there, and it's definitely be expecting that tonight on a track as tight as this. It'll certainly not be a massive gap for pole position. I'd be very surprised. And we're watching Kazizel heading through the middle sector. He's one of the other guys on the soft compound tyres, or at least one of the ones that are further through the lap. So we'll follow him. There are a few coming round for mediums. For example, the championship leader has just started a lap as Kazizel loses the rear end. A few more cars will come past him, so I think we'll move over to Nicolo, who according to the game has gone purple through the first sector. Always very, very difficult to tell, mind you, who's going and doing what, because it tends to lie to us. It doesn't really give us all that much information, unfortunately. But at least it tells us if the track has been invalidated yet or not, and it all is good. Yellow is a bit further behind. I think that's just for slow cars. Like I say, accidents are quite common, especially let's say through the sort of difficult corners. I'd say the crash zones on this track would probably be the likes of turn 2 onto turn 3, turn 7 the fast right-hander, turn 8 the slightly slower fast right-hander, and that last corner as well, 13, the last proper traction zone. So that's what you'll be looking out for during this session and in the race when it comes to people in trouble. Now we're watching an Aston Martin for some reason, and we're really looking for Cohen, who is actually invalidated, so he's not going to get a lap on. Most drivers have actually got laps on, and I'm wondering why it's taking so long to actually get Kazizel's time on the board. I hope there's no sort of desync or anything there. We are watching him obviously, but his time's only just gone on board there. And yeah, through the final corner we have had our first accident. As I say, even in the early stages of the race, that could happen as well, where a car loses it out of that final corner. And CC Brain currently sits 11th fastest, didn't even go for a try on the softs. Like I said, a lot of people are going for early runs on mediums, and he hasn't been able to make it back to the pits. I wonder if the car will still be there when we follow Kazizel round. And yeah, he's gone right at the end of the corner. Like I say, it's at that particular point where the loads are high, you can just lose it. And once you start to lose it through there, there's pretty much nowhere that you can go. And unfortunately, it's the wall. So it's Shizou 1, 2, 3, Ferrari, Aston. And Devon now has invalidated the lap as well, so we won't be able to see what he's going to be capable of right now. Kazizel's on his way back. Cameron is now back out. And well, it's a pretty good start to his qualifying session. Nothing really he can complain about there, is there? Because he's come in straight away, fastest lap. Regardless of what happens for the rest of the session, he has set a really decent benchmark, and it'll give him plenty to work on for the rest of the session. I was just wondering if Cohen was going to finish the lap, but he isn't. Has Devon gone again? I think he has. So we'll follow him round. Let's say. Currently trying to chase down Brack in the championship, and he's the fastest medium runner so far, is he? Let's see. Yes, he is, Brack. So only 3/10 off the pace. That is a very strong sort of showing, because you'd be expecting it to beat a half second. And again, you can see running the sort of higher gear through turn 7. Because I used to go down into 6th in there just to try and sort of help the car rotate, but actually it can really affect the rear end when you do that. And so, yeah, it's interesting to see that they're all sort of sticking into 7th gear through there. Will anyone else try a different method later on? I suppose we'll wait and see. Could be interesting to see in the race as well, because it helps with tyre wear as well. If you can just sort of cruise it through the corner, try to put as little load as possible. Could be the difference between sticking it in the wall here or winning the race, you know, and affecting your tyre wear in a certain way. As Devon comes to the line, it looks good. It's very good. It's P1. Good lap. Now, the Ferrari has just started his lap of Cameron, but we know that he was letting a few cars through, one of which was Azzy, I think, was the first one. And so we will follow him as he heads round. Nicolo's on his, 4th lap on these tyres, by the way. He is seemingly still going for it, so he must be fueled very long indeed. Either that or he's gone for a second one on the same tyre. Either way, he's not going particularly fast. So we'll see how Azzy gets on. 4/10 up on his best time in the middle sector. That isn't actually going to be much of an improvement, although I would imagine there'll be a decent amount of improvement in the last sector, because right now 4/10, that'll put him basically in 11th place. A little bit more than that puts him into a shot with the top 10, and then the gaps get much tighter, and so every little gain you can make is crucial. As Andrea, I think, just crossed the line in 6th. Azzy, that's gone 7th, and as you can see, the improvement in the last sector quite big. And Cameron couldn't improve, was 11 seconds off, in fact, on that run. Tom is up at the moment, and it's a decent amount to be up by. If he can find out just half a tenth more in the last sector, he's not going to. He's going straight to the pit lane. Was there a mistake? Was he not happy with the time? He wouldn't have gone fastest, but he was certainly decent for the first 2 sectors. So we'll keep our eye on him for the rest of the session. Certainly does look good, as do both Aston Martins, it has to be said. As we watch Steph, most of the Steph so far was spinning off at turn 3, but now we're going to see a proper time on the board, and it will put Steph into 13th position. Jax is also heading through a lap. He's actually just at the start of one, but as far as I can see, he's the only one on a fresh set of tyres, along with Dino, who's on a lap. Big snap out of turn 3 for Jax, so that will not help the momentum all the way up through in towards turn 7, and in fact appears to have matched his time in the first sector that he managed last time. So as long as he can get some improvement throughout the rest of the lap, he will still be able to get himself at least up to 12th place. And it's just that sort of 3/10 gap as Cameron on the second lap on Low Sauce puts it into P1. And that's encouragement for the rest of the field if you can manage it on a second set, and I think Jax has backed off, so maybe the improvements weren't there. But on a second lap on the tyre, you can still find some decent improvement. That is encouraging stuff for the rest of the pack. And I think Dino is also going slow. Cohen is on a lap. Kazizel is on a lap. Currently sitting in P3 at the moment. A few cars coming around the last corner. I think that's Steph running lap and Jack going slowly. A few more heading through the Ferrari of Metu, I think. And he is 3/10 up. And so we'll see if he can register a fast time on the board. That 3/10 would put him ahead of Barack, but again, we always tend to see a little bit more in that last sector, and we do indeed see him go up into 10th place. The McLaren up next of Nicolo to start a lap, and then we have Kazizel. Is this going to be a P1 time? Yes, it is, by 7/1000th of a second. The gaps really are very tight up at the front of the field. That's exactly what you want to see around Zandvoort. And I think we've got Frankie coming round into the pits. Wasn't happy to finish the lap with whatever was wrong. It looks like Cohen will finish the lap. And where will he go? Up to 3rd place. Gets himself in between Devon and Cameron, even with the gap so tight. they find a way. And Barak, I think, is out there as well. And Barak has gone P1. And he's been able to thread the needle, get a low 19.6. And wow, we have definitely got a tight pack for the last runs of the session, it has to be said. As we see the rest of them coming through, and we know Kryptonite's just starting a lap. Might actually be able to follow him all the way around after we see Nicolo finishing his lap. This is a really decent effort so far. This should be at least into P6, but again, surely there'll be a little bit more time in it. Could this be within the 1/10 of P1? Not quite, but does indeed go into P6. Definitely competitive stuff right now out there. And it's good to see Azzy is now starting lap as well. But we were going to watch and see how Kryptonite was doing, and so we will do that. Little bit of understeer there for 8, I think, just missing the apex slightly. Will have wanted a better run through there. But still, every little helps, I suppose. If he has a good rest of the lap, he will be happy enough. But I think maybe with a little bit of understeer, he might consider a pit stop at the end of this lap to stick some fresh tyres on to go right at the end. Although it must be said, 5 minutes to go, he probably has time to finish and then stick a new set on. But let's see anyway, will he complete the lap and will it be an improvement? DRS does open, but he does go for the pit lane, as I was sort of expecting there. There's nothing really he could have done. I think Tom had been on a lap, and he, I'm not sure, improved enough to gain a position. He is 7th, so I think he might have gone up actually a little bit. But definitely time to find in the last sector. And well, really, pole position could go to, frankly, anyone right now. We've got such tight gaps. 3/10 all the way down into 13th. It really is as tight as that. I think Nicolo is starting again with another lap. So this is the second or third time we've seen him go for multiple runs on the same tyre. Obviously Cameron had went P1 earlier on the second lap on a tyre, and he has gone out relatively early for his last runs as well. So I wonder if his tactic is to do it on the second lap. Will he be fueled for that, and will we see a slower first lap as a result? Will he take just 2 proper warm-up laps? Watching Andrea right now, a little bit off sequence from the rest, as is Devin. Devin is also out there. He's just finished a lap in 5th place, but he's going to go again. His teammate out there as well, Steph 2, coming round, and there is also an Alpine on. Is that an in lap? Yes, it is an in lap. Andrea up in the first sector. This is enough to gain at least 2 or 3 positions, and we'll see the middle sector, whether it's also an improvement. It is indeed. In fact, there's a purple middle sector. So certainly up to at least 6 now if he keeps the momentum up. And if there's also enough to go for a second run on this, could be further improvement to come. But let's see how the first attempt is. 3 minutes and 25 seconds to go, so still plenty of time to go for a second run if he fancies. And let's see, across the line, it is P6. Decent lap time. I think he'd be happy with that one. But let's see how Cameron's doing on his lap. The highest driver at the minute on a lap. We know Devin's out there, and in fact we actually probably should look at him because he is on a lap as well. I see the lap, the 1 lap on there. I get a bit thrown off, but he is absolutely out there. And let's see if there's an improvement here. Doesn't need much to go into P1. Oh, so close. P2. What a tight session we're having right now. Incredible stuff to see how these guys are just so close to each other. Cameron is slow in the first sector, so I think we are seeing this tactic again from him, where he goes for a couple of tries. So we'll go and see how Steph's doing. That is invalidated. So we will actually see the next lap starting off. But where is Cameron? Heading through the last corner now. And shall we ride on board then? Because this should be the lap for him. And we'll see if this can challenge P1. He was up there earlier on. He is only 600ths of a second from going straight back to the top. And after him, we will see how everyone else possibly responds to his time. But you can see the little bit of traffic out there. Will this be a distraction? Will Barak's car there, even though it didn't get in the way, will it have distracted his braking point? Will he be looking at the Mercedes rather than the corner? You've always got to be aware of people around you, and it can make a difference. He's cut the corner. He's cut turn 6, and he was up. He was up, so he's going to have to turn it all down, and he's going to have to hope he's got the fuel to go again. But could that be a costly mistake here for Cameron at the moment? We will see as he continues on, and he'll have to try for a third lap. Now, is that a Red Bull in the wall? The second Red Bull, who's going slow at this final corner. This is where we saw the accident earlier on for his teammate, CC Brain. But now, the other Red Bull has fallen out of contention as well. Ricky is starting a lap. We'll see, I believe, the McLaren of Cohen coming through, but he's slow as well, going for the second try. Steph isn't. Steph seems to be, no, he is invalid, so going again. Matteo is currently sitting P5. We missed his time coming through. Nicolo's starting a lap, and Jax as well. We've got Azzy going through. That is P6. Decent lap time. Frankie is up by over 2 tenths. This should be a really decent improvement, and he's only actually lost some time in the last sector. Only 13th. Mercedes then, Barak coming through to start his final lap. Surely in this session there's no more time to really make mistakes. This has got to be it now for him, the championship leader. Kazizel's heading through, so is Tom. The Aston Martins were right up there earlier on. Tom's up to 5th, Kazizel's up by enough to go P1, and he does take it. Decent lap. Now Matteo's coming through. This is for his last try. Cameron is in the pits and out of the session, so there's going to be nothing else from him. He didn't have the fuel to get round. That mistake earlier on was critical. Cohen heading through. Haven't seen his split, but we will see him when he crosses the line. I believe the Alpine there of who would that be? Would that be Dino or Ricky? Sorry, has got time to do one more lap just about, but Cohen hasn't quite improved on that try. Nicolo come through. He is improving and goes up into P9. Jax goes up to 2nd place. Really decent lap time there. And here is Dino. There is improvement from him. Still Kazizel then up in P1, but we will see Barak coming through in a moment. And Dino doesn't improve. Despite the lap time improvement, it's no position change. And now it's all eyes on Baraka. Look at him, he's nearly a 10th and a half up. Can he find any more? Oh, yes he can. And what a lap it was. A 109.4. Surely that is unbeatable. Will we see anyone else get there? Matteo's certainly on one, but will it be enough? No, not quite. Didn't improve on his own time. We, I believe, only have Frankie who can do anything about this, unless Kazizel has found himself enough to do a second lap. Is Ricky improving by anything? I believe that's Kazizel that Ricky just overtook there. But let's see, has Ricky got anything in the tank? Half a second off at the moment. The time to beat 109.4. He's not going to do that. He's gone up into P13 though. And Kazizel is on his way into the pitch. Is Cohen improving? No. And that will be qualifying then here at Zandvoort. And it's Baraka, the championship leader, has come through. And considering how tight this field is and how short this track is, he has destroyed the field. And I suppose you could say that there was never really any doubt about it. We went straight to him. I think we knew what was coming. And it is a fantastic pole position for the Mercedes driver here in Zandvoort. Very good stuff. And so the grid for the Dutch Grand Prix. Baraka on pole from Kazizel, Jax, Devon, Cameron, Tom, Matteo, Azzy, Cohen and Nicolo. They will all start on those soft tyres, assuming of course it'll be a dry race. Outside the top 10 we've got Andrea, Kryptonite, Ricky, Frankie, Dino, Steph and CC Brain. He did his time on mediums because he crashed, by the looks of it, on his second or third attempt on those mediums, never got a shot on the softs, and so we didn't know what his pace might be. He is obviously up there in the championship at the minute, so he is sitting 4th place, so there's a chance he could take 3rd today if it all goes his way. So will we see somewhat of a fight back for the field, perhaps a different strategy for him, because I think the pace is in there for him. But we will have to wait and see how that all works out as we wait for the lobby. Hello to everyone in the chat, by the way. I am alone. It is Owen only in the comms box. Haven't got any of the fancy graphics, unfortunately, that Jess tends to have, because I just don't, you know, I'm poor like that, I suppose. But still, I'm doing it sort of old school style, the way I've been doing it for a long time. But ooh, well, that is interesting. The question I've got to ask straight away: what setup was Barak running? Because to put 2 tenths on the field and then see this when everyone else is so close, has he made compromises to his setup to prioritise the track position for what looks to me a full wet start at the very least. And yes, these are all PlayStation drivers indeed. And hello, Khalifa. You joined at the very moment I saw the weather forecast. But like I say, I always have to ask the question, when someone puts it on pole by that much and then we see a wet start, did they compromise their race to get good qualifying? It wouldn't make any sense on a track you can overtake on, like Bahrain. Not that it would rain there, but you use it as an example. But here, where the overtaking is so difficult, DRS is a non-factor now. So as long as he doesn't stick it in the wall, I suppose it's worth the compromise. He could, of course, have just been 2 tenths faster than everyone, but it's always an interesting question to ask. And it means that we're going to have most of the field, not all of the field, starting on full wets. And what a situation we find ourselves in here. I don't think I've ever seen this before. In a league race, where we've had most of the field on the full wet tyres. Yeah, here's Matteo, and we've got Dino as well on the intermediates. I don't think I've ever seen this before. And this will be a fascinating start to this race. Will this be worth it? This must mean the rain's going to get less throughout the race. I suppose that's not really a surprise, though. It tends to do so. But assuming Matteo can stay in touch in the early stages of this race, it means this is a pit stop he doesn't have to do. Because they won't go from wets to dries. This isn't a Monaco 2016. It's not a thing you can do on this game, really. But, you know, if he doesn't fall a pit stop behind in the early stages, and with the way the conditions are here, safety cars might not be all that unlikely. Could we see this intermediate tyre be the tyre to start on? All will be revealed, but once again, the grid for those who missed it: Baraka, Kazizel, Jax, Devon, Cameron, Tom, Matteo, Azzy, Cohen, Nicolo, Andrea, Kryptonite, Ricky, Frankie, Dino, Steph, and CC Brain. And I do wonder if even in a wet setup was a contributing factor to his accident at the last corner. I know I've crashed there before, but that's because I'm not a very good driver. I think CC Brain's a much better driver than me, so I wonder if a setup possibly did sort of compromise his run through there. But listen, we'll see how it all goes. And this will be a fascinating start to the race. And a fascinating sort of weather situation as well. Whether we're going to see, like I say, the rain increase, decrease. You certainly want to be here to see it. As they all come round the last corner and prepare for what should be a very entertaining start. Not the longest run to turn 1, and it'll be even less of a sort of run, I suppose, thanks to how long you'll be sat getting the traction on full wet or inters that some of them are running on. But when these 5 lights come on, we will see, hopefully, a very exciting spectacle here. And here we go, the lights are on. Here in Zandvoort, it's Baraka from Kazizel. And we are away. Let's see how they all go off the line. Baraka's really strong. He should be well clearing towards turn 1. I'm having an eye on Matteo's Ferrari. Doesn't look too bad so far, but we've got to see how it is through the corner and on the exit. Will it just go sailing off the road, or will there be some decent traction? It looks really good though, doesn't it, for Baraka, who's way clear. Matteo holding P7, in fact going for a move and trying to get himself up into P6 if he can on his teammate. I'm not too sure because the hat is all over him. As they all head through though, plenty of side by side. Really dangerous to try something like this in the wet, but they're all somehow surviving, although there is a front wing missing for somebody. I think that might have been the McLaren, or oh, I hope it's not the Ferrari. Is it the Ferrari? It's the Ferrari Matteo. So Ferrari Matteo, he went for the strong strategy, and it may well be the better strategy, but not with this damage. Oh, what a shame. He's going to be off the road. He'll be right at the back of the field, and there's nothing he can do about it. He just needs to hope. Oh no, he's been tagged round by the other driver on the intermediates. I really hope that's not both of them dies, because it wrecks a strategic element of this race if they have both gone and damaged each other. Luckily, all 17 drivers are still in the race. And I hope Dino's okay, but Barak, what a start. Went flying off the line, perfect traction, seeing there was no care in the world, easily into turn 1 and away. And honestly, from this situation, I don't imagine we'll see him lose out, and Dino has stayed out, so those intermediates will still be usable for him. As we see elsewhere, Kazizel up there now with Jackson Devon sort of in tow. Will he be able to hold on? Obviously, Devon isn't really a factor, so falling a second outside isn't necessarily the end of the world like it would have been once before. But Matteo's happy to go on with the intermediates. I'm going to just have a look and see how Dino's getting on. Holding on to the back of Steph and CC Brain. He's up 3 places from the start of this race, and you know, the pace is there. The pace is there, and that's pretty much all he needs, because as you can see, it's only, you know, just 9 seconds to the leader. And with the way the field spread is, it's not that big in this field, so they're all very close on pace. No one's necessarily going to fall off the back of the other, so I imagine this sort of gap will stay consistent until it's time for pit stops. And of course, as the rain decreases, these intermediates will get stronger. It's a bit similar to a situation I had in a race in France in F3 a couple of years ago, where I was racing someone on wets, and for a while the wets were quicker and he was pulling away about a second a lap. But then once that turned and it was time to switch back to inters, they became 2 to 3 seconds a lap quicker. And it was a race around France, so perhaps slightly different, and it was 3 games ago. But the sort of formula is the same for this type of thing. Stick at it and the tyres will come to you. And he's going to try and do a move on the outside of turn 1. Thought about it on Steph, but decides to hold back. Brack, though, nearly 2 seconds clear of the field right now. This is him doing his best to try and offset the damage that's being done by Dino's tyre decision. I'm amazed only 2 people went for it, I suppose, actually looking at the conditions, because they do look pretty decent, don't they, for intermediate? No one necessarily struggling on wets, mind you. I guess it's sort of the sort of crossover point almost. And who's going to pull the trigger? Will it be perhaps Kzizzle, who's struggling quite a lot to keep it on the track on these full wets? If he's not careful, he will get mugged, even though it's so difficult to pass around here. If you're struggling, they'll have to pass you. They've got no choice. But will we see some early pit stops? You know, will we end up seeing even a 2-stop, you know, wet to enter, or will it go to dries? You know, they've got to think about these things now, because I don't think a set of inters is going to get you to the end of the race. I don't think that's possible. But will we see any pit stops? Because this all stays out, okay? They all stay out, in fact. I suppose they can't actually see Dino on their screen, can they? So they can't all see what's going on. But surely if you're Steph, at least, you'd be seeing what's going on here. As the 2 Hasses swap positions, Andrea ahead of Assy. But you'd see this with Dino and surely think, I fancy a pit stop. If you're sitting where, I don't know, CC Brain or Ricky are, and, you know, CC Brain, you might have some more pace in it. Maybe have a bit of clean air to use. Matteo, he's catching the pack pretty quickly, isn't he? He's gained 3 seconds in the last little lap or 2 in the free air. And, you know, before long, he might get into a decent gap where he can actually start to jump some of these people. So he'll actually be hoping that this stays green for as long as possible, and that they don't pit for as long as possible to get ahead, because he's doing the business. But again, Brack, he'll see that fastest lap pop up. The rest of them will see the fastest lap pop up, and surely the pit stop will be happening soon. If I were them, I'd be pitting. I wonder if they're staying out though to try and make it a 1-stop. That's the only sort of thing I can think here. Stay out on the wets for 10 or so laps, pit for inters, and perhaps see how they get to the end. Maybe that's the plan. And they're just going to have to brave it there, and that might be then where Dino loses out and he'd actually have to make overtakes, which is where it becomes difficult. So we'll see what works. And look at that, the amount of movement for Kzizzle. He's desperately defending this 2nd place. Even though he's not quite got the pace, he has defended the place. And we've got Frankie, CC Brain and Steph. They have gone into the pits. Surely only one option there, and it'll have to be the intermediate tyres. And I think they, probably on their screens, could see Matteo and see that he was closing in, because they can now come back out of the pits and be under no threat whatsoever. 5 more laps of this, he maybe would have been under pressure, and people may still find that as the 2 Alpine swap position. Dino already finds himself up in 12th place. And Matteo, yeah, about 5 seconds off the back of those guys, are just pitted, and there's a car into the wall. It's Azzy. No damage as such, and the 2 McLarens are swap positions as well. I wonder if there's been some fighting going on there, because there's a lot of drifting for Cohen. But looks like Azzy's got away with a little trip into the wall. So this crossover is proving really difficult, and you can see it. Look at it, the track's drying up. Even though the rain's coming down, it's not nearly as heavy as it was before, and these guys are crawling. It's a greasy track back to the pits. These guys, Frankie, CC Bray and Steph, we pitted before. Dino will be loving this as well, knowing that it's possibly too early to take a set of entries to the end from here, and that these guys would have to pit twice, while he'd only have to pit once, and so he will get himself right up to the lead, and surely these guys are all going to pit, except they can't, and Kazizzle, oh, Kryptonite's gone at the last corner. That could bring a safety car out, and it has done. Oh, if you're one of those guys that just stayed out, I was just saying, you maybe didn't want to do that, but they didn't want to stack, but I felt they would have lost them time because of the conditions. But this safety car might well have changed the whole complexion of the race. It also brings Baraka right onto the back of Dino again, whereas he would have had a huge gap in front. Although, of course, as I said before, it's a difficult track to overtake on. These guys are in front of the safety car. That's so important. It might just give them a little bit of extra time that they need, while the rest are just trying to get themselves through. But, wow. 3 times we've seen Red Bull struggling in that last corner. It's just not an easy position for them to be in. And, yeah, the gaps are a bit sort of skewed at the minute. We'll just wait and see when these guys pit, but I have a feeling that they will have gained a little bit through this. The 4 that stayed out. The rest have either pitted once or are Dino, who started on his enters, and as I said, I think he would have wanted this to stay green as long as possible, as with Matteo, because the gap was, what, 8 seconds? It still is about 6.5 for Dino coming out of the pits, and that was with half of that pit stop happening on the safety car. He would have had a good 10-15 seconds if this stayed green, you know, for the whole race, and he would have been in a much nicer position than he is now. He is still net leader of the race. You know, there's worse positions to be in, but yeah, I do think he'll have been sitting there thinking, couldn't that have just happened? You know, or just not have happened at all, really. But either way, Dino has taken the lead of the race. So it's all gone to plan, and they're all on intermediate tyres now. Tom is going to be close to his teammate, who picked up a 5-second time penalty under the safety car for speeding into the pit lane, and he will have to serve that at his next stop if there indeed is one. Like I said, I don't think entries are going to last that long around here. I'm not an expert on it, I don't actually know, but maybe it'll go to dries later on. I mean, the rain is getting light enough, isn't it? But yeah. Well, we'll see what all happens, won't we? But we're just going to wait for the pack to get themselves all into position. Matteo taking this opportunity, sitting at the back of the field to put some new intermediate tyres on. And out he comes. That might leave the safety car out possibly an extra lap, because I think without him pitting, it may have been coming in this lap, but since he's so far behind, we will have to possibly wait a lap longer. So let's see the position changes so far, and it's no surprise to see who's up at the top. Dino, 14 positions made, and it is a genuine lead. He made the right choice at the start of this race to go for intermediates, and it could be one of the calls of the season now, really, for where he is right now. That has been an absolute masterstroke. Let's see where he is in the championship, actually, just to give some idea. He's only got 22 points. Most of those points, 12 of them, came from a second place that he achieved at the French Grand Prix. Could he be scoring another 16 today? Could it even be 17? Could he go for the whole fastest lap? Take all the points. But for now, he's certainly looking at taking a second big haul of points, whether it be for P1, 2, 3. I have a feeling he'll be confident of a podium at the moment. And yeah, we will see how he gets on with the rest of the race. Hopefully the safety car, like I say, will be in this lap. The only reason it wasn't in, I think, was because Matteo was out here betting his brand new intermediate tyres in. He only really took these because he was last anyway, and he might as well put some fresher ones on. That does make sense to me. I would have done the same thing. Here are the stops again. Like I say, he's made 2, the rest have made 1 apart from Dino, who, like I say, started on his tyres. And so I think for now, since we all know that they're all on intermediates, I will keep the position changes up. A little bit more interesting graphic for everyone to look at. And you can see the winners and losers. Again, unsurprisingly, Matteo and Azzi are the two losers, the one who've been involved in accidents. And I tell you what, how lucky was Dino. Remember on that one, he was the one who tipped Matteo around as he was struggling with his front line. Neither driver's fault, it was just that Matteo had no downforce anymore and Dino had nowhere to go but a little love tap into the rear. I don't think it'll go to the steerage or anything like that. But yeah, he could so easily have damaged his car in that process. But he didn't. He leads the race for Alpine. And we're going to see a clean restart in the wet. This last corner, is everyone's tyres nice and heated up? Or are there any cold ones out there? If there are, you may well see some people just sailing off into the wall and ending their races. And we don't know how Kryptonite actually ended. We didn't see it happen. Was he sort of hitting someone else? Was there some sort of mistake on his end? Either way, he crashed at the last corner. I said it could be a point of concern. Hopefully we all get free here now. And Dino has put his foot down, but not fully. He gave it a little bit, and you can see why, as the likes of Baraka losing it on the rear. And I think Cazzizzle had a bad restart. I thought he's just going to let his teammate go with the 5 seconds, but no, he will defend. Ferrari and Alfa Romeo fighting side by side. Cameron and Jackson. Cameron, right on his outside, is in 5th position. Now, is that more side by side through turn 2 and 3? That's brave stuff, isn't it? As we watch Ricky and Frankie going through and Ricky taking that P11 spot. Really good stuff there from them, because that could easily have ended in tears. Mind you, we saw them going nearly 3 wide through turn 6 earlier on, so they're fearless. Oh! Wow, that could have easily been off the road for Cohen, who will be sitting there wondering how on earth he survived that. As he heads through turn 7, nearly into the back of Andrea and nearly losing it regardless in his attempts to avoid. Now, back at the front. Baraka, we know from before that he was very quick. Fastest of the wet runners. He might well end up being fastest of the intermediate runners this time round. But of course the challenge he's got to face is his, well, it's one of the worst tracks for overtaking and there's no DRS to help him. So how's he going to go about this? There are still chances on the main straight because we've seen guys going side by side. And he's kept it nice and tight through the last corner, very close to the back of Dino. But there's no way through as they head towards turn 1. Cameron, is he thinking about it on Cazzizzle? Possibly, but not quite for this lap in particular. We might see that materialise later on, either in this lap or in the laps to come, because he is absolutely climbing all over the back of the Aston Martin man, who has got a 5-second time penalty. Like I said, he'll have to take that at either his next stop or at the end of the race. Depends really which comes first. And yeah, we will see him possibly fall down because of that, because I imagine you won't see much field spread, even though there isn't any DRS. Like I say, the field are obviously so close naturally, and he's now the second Aston Martin in the queue as well, so if they end up having to double stack or anything, he would be the one who loses out, or he would just have to do an extra lap. So, let's see. Baraka, is he close? Is the rain getting lighter as well? I can't imagine the rain's going to settle this for the rest of it. It started off a little bit heavy, heading towards Inter. Now we've hit the interstage. Will it go to light rain, to no rain? I do wonder. But for now, it's just a patient waiting game. And Baraka, I suppose, doesn't have any urgency. It is only lap 10 of 36. We will be here a long time. And Dino, well, he's got the fastest lap for now. So he's also comfortable enough out there. He's not used much ERS. It's pretty much the same with Baraka, so he's doing pretty much everything he has to do, and that really is just keep it on track, don't crash. And they are breaking away, aren't they, from Cazzizzle? I wonder if Cameron will actually have to think about making a move at some point, try and surprise the Aston Martin in front, because I don't think this is sustainable for his race, is it? Because he's just stuck here, waiting for something to happen, and at the minute it's not going to happen unless he makes it happen. And that involves being very clever with where he chooses to make a pass. Of course, Cazzizzle isn't an idiot. He will see any move coming, and he has the ERS to defend on the straights, as we see Tom on the back of Baraka, just keeping him in check, not doing anything stupid, but showing him that he's there. Again, I'm not expecting anybody to go for crazy moves at this stage of the race. And Varek looks a little bit closer out of the last corner. And let's see, is Cameron going to go for some sort of movement here into turn 1? Not close enough, and there's another car gone. It's Frankie. Looking behind, you can see him there, and we have a second safety car. And was there contact with anybody? I'm gonna have a look at some front wings. It's a second car in the last corner, but it's a lot further down on the main straight. So I'm gonna just check the race director, see if anyone's actually made any contact. No, nothing there. No warnings for contact. So as Frankie just lost it really late on in that final corner, when you're at the sort of maximum load on the pretty much entire track. So that's a second car, a third car today, second car in the race to go at the last corner. It is proving to be a bit of a Formula 1 graveyard over there. And will we see any more stops? I'd be surprised. Unless the rain is set in and here for the rest of the race, maybe they might pit for tyres to get to the end, but with these safety cars, they may be able to get to the end on what they are already on. Because they'll have had, what, 6 laps by the end of this safety car, behind safety car on this particular set of tyres, even Dino. And as far as I'm aware, in a wet race, you don't have to pit. If you can get the tyres all the way, you can get them all the way. Charles Leclerc nearly managed it in Turkey last year, of course, in real life, if you remember. He didn't manage it, but he got close enough, led the race for a while. But Dino, he even got me. He even got me. Did a little dummy there, did a little dummy. But stayed out on track, and I think the rest will as well, unless there's damage. Is that Sheriff? I thought perhaps was going in, but no. They're all staying out. We're all going to queue behind a safety car for a little bit and enjoy some downtime. Matteo wasn't able to make any progress on the back. He's probably the one who lost out most on this safety car, because I think with Heil that was panning out, he was going to make at least a couple of positions, be closer to the points, but now he's got to really fight through the field to get up to where he wants to be now. And so we'll need to see his progress later on, because I think his pace is there. And do you know, if there wasn't the incident on lap 1, it'd be him where Dino is right now. And I think he knows that. And it's a shame to see him down there, but we will see if he can make something up in the last couple of laps. Rain is still falling. I mean, there's a slight dry line emerging, you can see, but that's just sort of from where they're actually just driving their natural racing line. There's not going to become a dry line until rain stops, and even then it could be another 5 or 6 laps. So it's a long game, this, but luckily the safety car is short, and we're getting ready to go back in again. Down to 15 cars. And ready to do another restart. Dino composed himself very well last time, did nothing wrong. Will he pick a different point to go this time, or will he stick to what he knows? He wasn't able to go full throttle through the last corner when he went for it earlier on. I wonder if he'll pick a point where it's easier just to go foot to the floor. But we'll see how that all pans out. And we'll stay on board with Barak, so we can see how he reacts to this situation as Dino continues to weave. It's always a game of chicken, this, because you always want to try and preempt when your rival's going to go. He's staying high on the track, goes back low, wants to position himself, and you can see him, he's trying to predict it, he's pulling alongside. Can he pick the right moment as Dino goes? Barak a little bit on edge, as we see the Aston Martins going side by side again, but Barak can't get anything done into turn 1. And the rest are staying relatively in order, but it looks like Cameron's been a bit boxed in there. Is there any way of him getting out of that situation or losing the position? Yes, there is. Ricky is nearly into the back of Andrea, but has got ahead of CC Pretty. He's going to go right round his outside into 3. Is there a decent exit there for him? There is, but there's contact as well. And he got a little boxed in as we see them going through 5 and 6. Really wrestling for position right now. And it's such a tricky place on the track to make moves, and you can see why. Look at them all over the place, and the Ferrari nearly got hit again as the rain has stopped, and so we're getting ready for pit stops perhaps in the next couple of laps as we see Matteo going up on the inside here of Azzy, and Cohen has dropped right to the back of the field, so I don't know what's happened to him. Oh, he's gone for dries. I didn't even realise. He's going to be in the wall, surely, in a minute. Look at him, he's absolutely all over the place. He's lost it a few times, and if he's only got to here, did he pit on the restart lap? He must have done. I must have missed that. And, yeah, that's risky. Not gaining any time whatsoever, but hey, listen, if the tyres come in the next lap or two, while these guys are right here still, it might help. We'll wait and see when DRS gets enabled how this all pans out, because that will happen soon. And at this point, will Baraka think, right, I've got to make a move here, I've really got to make a move, because I want to be first into that pit lane. There's no sort of stacking that's going to cost anyone position now. It's literally get into the pits first, get out of them first, you know, it's just the way it works now. And they've all just got to look after the grip at this point. This is possibly the most perilous part of the race, just ask Cohen. Because this is where the track isn't really suited to any sort of tyre. Right now the intermediates are feeling a bit worn, they're feeling a little bit heavy. It's a difficult thing to control, nothing you can really do about it, because it's not quite ready for dries. And you just got to survive it and get yourself back to the pits when it's time. But I'm not sure it is now, because Cohen has just been off. Now granted, on that first out lap he probably ruined the tyres, because they would have been stone cold by the time he got to round to try another lap. But still, I don't think you want to be on those tyres right now regardless. So I'd be very surprised if we see anyone coming into the pits that they can't even go full throttle through that last corner. They're still struggling. They'll sit on board. Anyone going to think about it? Cameron on the back position, trying to make a move happen in towards turn 1. He's going to go all the way up the inside, and the contact was inevitable because Izzle was turning in. He had the corner, but in the end the contact happened and he had to make way, and Cameron was up into P4 just like that. Under pressure now, perhaps a little bit from Jax behind and Devon in tow. Let's see how Cohen's getting on. Is the front wing gone? Is there a puncture as well? Or is he just the front wing? No, just the front wing. Nothing much. But that will have to be back to the pits. And Barak still climbing all over the back of Dino. He'll be hoping DRS is enabled pops up right now so he can just blast past on this straight. But it isn't going to happen. He's going to have to do it the old-fashioned way if he wants to get past before it's time to pit. And they're going to end up, unfortunately, lapping Cohen here. And there's no one lapping system in this game, so once you're lapped, your day is done. And that's unfortunately the fate that Cohen is going to see coming, and that's why he has retired. Now, look at the ERS being used. Barak closes in. Is he going to go for a move for the lead into turn 1? Throws one up the inside. Little bit of a lock-up. Will Dino be able to resist? He's on much older tyres, remember, and he can't quite do so. And Barak made the move, didn't need the DRS, and has done it before the pit stops. Really crucial move this for him. And he's into the lead of the Dutch Grand Prix once again. He started on pole, he's back in control of the pack. And Dino, can he stick with him? Will there be any sort of response? It was all fair and square when it came to the move, and I don't think Dino really could have any complaints about it. And will he perhaps use this as a bit of an impetus to try and become the first person to trigger pit stops? Maybe try and do some sort of undercut. It's a very difficult sort of way of doing things, but well, you can see the time he's already starting to lose. Barak definitely the faster driver. The tyres not really going to help Dino's case either. DRS though still isn't enabled. Like I say, it could take 5-6 laps. It really can sometimes. While on other tracks it can take half a lap. It just depends, and the track is just taking its time to get ready. Any more incidents between now and them all switching to dries might make the system a bit easier, but right now there's no such accidents happening. Even in that last corner, they're switching about a little bit. As you can see, Matteo trying to get himself past Steph and having a bit of difficulty despite Steph's struggles. But down the inside into turn 1. Oh, DRS is enabled as they've all just gone past the pits. Oh, I wonder if anyone was considering a pit stop and they couldn't do it. And we're going to see a massive amount of pit stops happening on this lap now. Surely they will all be in. And will we see anyone go for moves on this lap, just in the knowledge that they don't want to crash on the way into the pit lane? And let's see, anyone going to make any mistakes? This is really the most important moment of the race right now. What tyres did he go on to as well? I suppose it'll probably be just mediums. Although, you never know, in the later stages of the race, maybe someone will risk softs. I don't think they'll go that far, mind you, but we'll see. Someone might take the risk. And Dino just about got DRS, but I mean, he's still struggling massively. And look at Cameron on the inside of Tom. Nearly got through. Barack will be heading straight for the pit lane, and I don't think there'll be any sort of challenge for his lead. I think, unless he makes some sort of mistake, he is the box seat for his win. As they all come round, and the pit lane is a-calling. And they're all heeding that call as they come through. Because he doesn't want to stack. He's also got a 5-second penalty to deal with. He doesn't want any of that. But the rest of the field, every single one of them, is in. And what tyres are they all going on to? Cameron's put hards on as he's gone for sauce. You know, there's a few, or CC Brain, sorry, has gone for sauce. A few of them actually. Matteo as well. And how many? We've got 3 on softs. And we've got 1 on hards, the rest on mediums, and we'll see what Gazizzle goes on to in a moment. So, will Cameron's tyre be the right choice? I'm sure he's done that by mistake, because definitely the mediums will get to the end. There's no doubt about that. Softs might be a challenge, but oh yeah, listen, well, CC Brain, he's the highest driver on them. If you get another safety car or something like that, he'll be sitting pretty on those. What a shame for Gazizzle. He's having to practically crawl round, and he will be feeling every little bit of the pain of this. And even worse, he'll be feeling that 5-second penalty. And look at him. He just can't get the thing turned into the corners. It's the absolute worst feeling in league racing is when you are just stuck and you can't do anything about it. Now, we're going to see any DRS moves for these soft runners straight away. It'll be difficult because they're all still in trains. But if you're like Matteo, who's relatively close, the likes of turn 1 are still viable options. You know, you throw it up the inside, you've got the grip to get it round. Even if it's a risky move, you've got more grip than the guy in front of you. You know that for sure. And so it's worth trying. And what's also worth trying is Tom passing Dino, because Dino in the Alpine hasn't got DRS, and he thought about it but didn't do it. And he was very close to it though, and it almost happened as CC Brain gets himself, I think, ahead of Ricky, does he? Or is it just ahead of Gazizzle actually they're getting ahead of, isn't it? Ricky's the one under pressure by Matteo. And I'm sure we'll see the moves happening soon, because Nicolo's got no DRS. He'll be under pressure from Andrea, and CC Brain absolutely will be putting him under pressure. And look how close these guys are in towards turn 7 in the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th. These two will be just as desperate to get by Cameron, who I think is on the wrong tyre. I think he can probably tell you that himself at the moment. This is not going his way at the moment. And I don't think he'll be enjoying this one bit. And he can't bail out now. He can't bail out for the pits. He's got to stick with what he went for. Will the move happen yet? No, not quite. I think they just want to wait for the main straight. Jax doesn't want to get into much of a tough fight, just in case he invites Devon in. He'd like to just blast past into turn 1 here and get himself clear, because he knows it'll be Devon on his tail next regardless, just because of how close he is. But surely, as we head towards turn 1, I don't think we can see any moves at the front, because oh, they don't have all DRS actually. I thought Dino might have had it, but he didn't. Even though he got the DRS, it didn't happen. And now, oh, look at that, nearly colliding Devon and Jax as they both get themselves past Cameron. And we've got Andrea past Nicolo as well, and Matteo past Ricky too. So the two soft runners then right up on each other's tails within not very long, I'd imagine. Can CC Brain try and pull any moves up through do we call it an S section? But yeah, I'm surprised Dino didn't pick up any DRS. He's at the fastest lap on that last run round. He's used all his ERS. I hope he's not got a DRS problem. But let's see, will he be in the detection point? That'll tell us everything we need to know. But I'm surprised he didn't get it before. Now, he definitely does have DRS, but not with this energy will he be able to do any sort of meaningful fighting. I suppose he'll just have to wait and hope that in his time in the DRS he can build it back up again, because surely it's inevitable that Tom will be able to attack. Mind you, of course, Tom can't see Dino's ERS situation, so he might not know that he can go for the move as easily as he might expect. And like I say, the DRS does help Dino on a little bit. He does set the fastest lap for the second lap in a row. Can CC Brain find any way through Nicolo into turn 1? Like I say, you can outbrake these guys when you've got the grippier tyre. It's a risky move to try, but it's still worth a try, isn't it? But I guess they're not quite going for it just yet, these soft guys. They've got plenty of time, but the grip will start to run out. Sooner rather than later, you know. So, we've got to be careful on this one. It sounded like contact there, didn't it? But Matteo really harrying CC Brain. I think he wants through now. He's making a decent recovery through the field, but he wants to continue that. And, well, it's a soft runner, which he hoped would be actually pushing through the field, who's ended up to hold him up. I think they are catching his teammate, though, Matteo. And since Cameron on those hards will be a sitting duck, I think, in not too long, then that might pose the opportunity. A 6th place on track could be sort of on the line with all this. And Dino, right up close on DRS. Barack, not really too worried about him though, even though Dino has hit his 3rd fastest lap in a row, as Devon and Jax fight side by side in turn 1, and Devon is up into 4th position. That'll help Cameron to stay close with those two going side by side. So even though he's on a tyre that he probably doesn't want to be on, he's keeping in touch with where these other guys are. But yeah, Dino, is he just going to go for the move? Is he just going to go for it? Because he's not got the ERS and eventually it'll catch him up. So does he want to lead the pack? That is the question, because actually on dries he seems alright. And yeah, we'll see what his plan is. Oh, he nearly loses it though on the curve. He got on the curve on the inside, and that might invite Tom through, and the pressure's massive as he head through. Oh, and there's nearly contact, a little tap as well. So there's no damage done, but Tom, he really didn't fancy a fight through the chicane. It cost so much time, and Cameron's gone off the road, facing the wrong way, and he'll be right down in 14th place. Nothing he can do now. He is stuck there for pretty much the rest of the race on those tyres, because he'll only fall further back, surely. Does he take the opportunity to pit and maybe just stick some new tyres on, or will he wait for a safety car if he can get one? CC Brain on the outside of Nicolo. Can he make it work on the exit? Remember, you've got more grip, but he's not able to use it. And Cameron into the pit lane. He has sped his way through as well, and he's probably kicking himself right now with how this is going. The two Ferraris have had separate disasters here today. They could well have been a lot higher, but not to be for one of them. Matteo could still make it work. The sun is out now as well, which might help increase the track temperature, maybe make these guys in sauce. Could actually make their days a little bit worse, because the warmer the track temperature, the warmer these tyres get, and when you're on these softs, which don't have a very long shelf life, you don't need them to be getting much hotter than they need to be. So that could be a slight issue. But let's see Dino again. Hasn't had a mistake similar to the last lap on this lap, so he'll be able to stay nice and close. And he has got the ERS for the main straight. You know, he can deploy this on the main straight and get himself nice and close to Barack. But he's not doing so. He's just calculating it. He's calculating it for now. I think he must feel at least a little bit comfortable where he's sitting at the moment. As we see CC Brain on the inside this time in Nicolo. That's a ticket surely, as he gets himself up and into 7th position. Right from the back of the grid, he's made 10 spots now. He's having a really decent run at it at the moment. And the next car ahead, Andrea, there's no DRS for him, so it should be a relatively easy go through for him. Barack, let's just see what he sees when he looks behind me, because he'll be looking at this view so often, surely. Just to look out. Because if one goes for a move, the other will go for the move. It's just a difficult thing. He's got so much ERS though. Will there be a point where he's like, okay, you just can overtake me, but good luck having any power on the end when I blast past you on the last lap, you know, something like that. He is still setting personal bests at the sectors too, so I think he's got more pace in there, but I think Dino's got perhaps more determination to get through, because he's now saving the ERS really efficiently. And he's staying nice and close. You know, he's getting himself ever so slightly back into this. And there ever comes a time to dump it all and go for a move, he'll be ready to do so. As Matteo comes through, and gets himself up into 8th place. And Nicolo, surely there's no defence there. And it's the two soft runners again running close to each other. Andrea, like I say, no ERS, or no DRS, sorry, he's got plenty of ERS, but no DRS to defend from, so I don't really see how he can stay in front for much longer unless these softs are already starting to lose some pace as Cameron sets the fastest lap. 1:11.3. These guys will be beating that. Not on these mediums. But there's plenty of DRS still to at least help Dino go for the win and Tom go for the win. They can let the fastest lap go if the win comes. And yeah, Dino's saving what, 5-10% ERS a lap, so when we get to the closing stages he'll be ready to attack. And Tom is surely doing the same thing. Yeah, he's already got his up, but he's using his ERS to keep up at the minute, which is interesting. Or is he going to go for a move? Look at him closing in on Dino, but he's just wasted so much ERS and no way through. And look at that, the top three, that's probably as close as they've been so far today. CC Brain pulls the move on Andre up into 6th place. Really impressive stuff, still getting us up there. And there are still more targets up ahead he can try and go for later on. But it really is just a patient game for these guys. I think that might have been a mistake from Tom due to a lot of ERS. But it's interesting to see that even when you're using all that, the closing speed isn't as big as I would have thought. I know it's not a long DRS zone, but I would have expected more than that. And as Dino just lost a little bit of time in the lap, Barak just has a bit of breathing room. Mind you, that breathing room will be pretty much gone, won't it, by the time they get back to the main straight with the way this DRS works around here. But it's weird, Tom pushing and round the corners, but just when it comes to overtaking, they need an extra 200 metres on that main straight, you know, would really spice it up, because it's pretty much the only place for overtaking, and Dino is having to use now the ERS that he's saved up just to close in and not get overtaken by Barak. As Tom has a look on the inside again, is Jax close to Devon? Yes, but not close enough, and looks like Andrea and Matteo are fighting away for 7th place. This is risky stuff to keep his nose in through 2 and 3, and he's going to back off as a result. And Matteo will just hold on to P8 for now. He has got Nicolo behind, but he's also got Ricky, Kazizel and Steph. And I'm seeing that Kazizel actually got another penalty. It's a 3-second one this time, so it must be for track limits. So Kazizel, what a miserable day he's having. But back at the front. But we've been watching nothing happen for a while, but I'm sure eventually we will see it also come to fruition. We'll get some sort of battle, hopefully, as Steph now in front of Kazizel, who just is having a miserable time. And why is he so slow, actually? Is there something up with the car, or has he just made a mistake? Has he even got some sort of damage? He's broke his front wing, that's what he's done. He's broken his front wing on the right hand side. Has he done that in a battle with Steph, or even hitting the back of a car in front like Ricky? Either way, it's in the pits again, and we go side by side for the lead. Dino, he had used a lot of VRS on the last lap, and I wonder if that's why he's gone for it now. This is what Barak's been waiting for, really, because now we're going to see Dino pull away. I'm not sure, but if Tom can get in the fight, if Tom passes Barak, then that spoils all of the Mercedes drivers' plans. But I wouldn't necessarily say losing the lead is a massive deal for Barak here. If anything, it'll get this front three closer than it has been at any point in the race so far. Look at them. Barak is just holding Dino almost ransom here. And he'll be straight back past whenever he wants. Tom needs to throw a spanner in the works if he wants to get something to happen here. I always feel like it's a career mode race. You just throw it up the inside and they'll move out of the way, but it's just not how it works in this. He's got to be patient, but he's also going to be aware that Devon and Jax are closing in on this, so if they fight too much this lot, it could be a 5-way scrap for the lead. Now, is Barak going to fight back? Yes, he is. And I don't think Dino's going to fight it too much. He's going to be more worried about Tom, and he's going to go right round the outside. Really brave stuff there. That was a tight closing gap. And now, wheel to wheel through 2. Dino will surely try and stay ahead, but Tom has the line for free, And on the exit, will he be able to get the power down? No. Dino well fought to stay in P2 and keep his hopes for victory alive. But that will have been a real sort of morale dampener, wouldn't it? Having got past Barak so well into turn 1 as a decent side-by-side scrap. But Barak just goes straight back through. And nothing he could do about it. But it's whittled down some of Barak's ERS. He's got to keep the pressure up, Dino. Don't just give up because you've been overtaken once. I'm sure he won't do that anyway. But, yeah, get a couple more overtakes and you'll be on sort of level playing field with the ERS. So, definitely still in it. And with Devon and Jackson in the mix as well, if Barak has one particularly bad moment, he could lose a few positions. And it could blow the race wide open. But Barak does look pretty comfortable, doesn't he, out front? He's driven a really good race, but he's using more ERS again to just pull away. He's only got a finite supply of it, and with 6 laps to go, using about 20% a lap, he's going to end up out of it pretty soon. And so it really is on Dino just to stay close. No fighting this lap with Tom, who's now, like I say, worrying about Devon and about Jax and Barak. How's your nerves through all this? Because this is a tricky moment in the race. That's because it's all night. Sets the fastest lap. Him and Cameron at the back of the field, both on soft compound tyres, both with penalties, both pretty much out of the running. And Dino closes once again. All these guys in the train are just waiting for something to happen in front. Apart from Barak, of course, he's hoping nothing happens whatsoever. He can just sort of hold on. Because I think he knows in his heart of hearts that these 4 aren't going to fight. And so he's going to have to drive on his mirrors for the last 5 laps of the race. As he comes on the last corner to begin the first of those 5. And you can see how Dino closes in. And Barak, 54% ERS. To Dino, he's only got, what, 25% less. I mean, it's a really tight situation. I do think if Dino picks the right moment, he can win this race. And what a win it will be. Like I say, he does have a best result this season of 2nd place, so he would be matching it as it stands. But I do think he has it in him, I really do. We're seeing that Matteo is still not past Andrea, I think, because of probably the ERS on CTB and their tyre situation. So just seeing that those 3 appear to have stabilised, and that train actually from 6th down to 11th. It might get a bit tasty if CT Brain's tyres are gone, because it does mean that Andrea might fight back. So watch out for that 2nd train. It's certainly a 2-train affair right now, as Devon's on the back of Tom. So close, but again not going for moves. He's also looking pretty strong on ERS. They're all actually looking relatively solid. So they're ready to fight. It's just about when is that going to happen. And you can see, look at Barak just pulls out of the toe. Or gets rid of the toe more like. Dino could have followed him but decided not to. It's just the longest game of chicken, isn't it? But it's all been fair and square. They've all been very fair of each other. And let's see the other train, how they're getting on. Yeah, they're not doing much either. Their ERSs are all looking a lot sort of less well managed than the leaders. It's quite a difference, isn't it, when you look at them? And Barak, like I say, it probably looks quite sort of almost robotic the way these guys are going about it, but trust me, there's a lot of nerves I'd imagine happening right now. These guys are not as comfortable as it might look. And definitely Barak, he'll be looking like this the whole time. He'll be looking, every time he comes out of the corner, he'll be looking at that view. He'll be seeing the 4 cars behind him, and he'll be looking in front of him thinking, how on earth am I going to defend from all this? How am I going to get through all these cars with all their DRSs? What if 2 or 3 go for it at once? I've got nothing I can do. And that's what will be going through his mind. He'll be really wary about these guys coming for him. Again, look at the view, that's what he's got to look at. He'll be coming around that last corner. Where's Dino going to go? Where am I going to move when he goes? And is Tom going to get involved as well? And he'll see all the cars coming through. And he'll see it's going to be 3 wide for the lead of the race. And they all collide! And off goes Baraka! They were squeezed. And Dino maybe would say he didn't have anywhere to go. But it's put Tom into the lead of the race. And Tom, he went aggressive. It's worked out for him. I don't think there'll be any sort of issues with that, because he made the move nice and clean on Dino, and so I think if anyone would be asking questions, it would be probably Barak on Dino. But did he turn in too sharp? Will Dino say, I couldn't go anywhere, there was a car on my inside? Either way, the fight for this win is not over yet, and the championship leader is right off the road. And remember, second place in the championship, it's Devon, and Devon has got the most ERS out of this top three. And can he try and snatch a victory? Because what a swap around that would be in the championship. A 16-point swing that would put Devon right into the title fight. And he's got 2 laps to make it happen. Will Dino be feeling a bit of vengeance here on Tom? Will he also go for it? We've seen that 3 wide can't really go without accident. But will we see them go for it again anyway? Because Dino's going to have some good closing speed and he'll have to use it, because here comes Devon for second place. And he's going to go for it on the inside. Dino did a good job to defend though. He made it look like he was going to go through on Tom, but didn't go through with it. And oh, this is going to be such a finish. The tyres will be starting to get a little bit more worn now. The guys will be starting to feel the overheating. They'll be starting to feel the lack of grip through the higher load corners. And one little mistake could throw this whole thing for a loop. I think Baraka's going to at least try and make sure he gets the fastest lap so that no one else can take the point. He wouldn't get it himself because he won't be scoring any points. But that will not. I won't concern him that much. And I think if Devon wants to win this race, and I think he might be considering it, he's got to pass Dino right now. And he hasn't got the exit for it. And he'll be hoping really that Dino's close enough for this last lap to try and have another little accident that he can take advantage from. This last lap, surely there'll be some sort of movement as Dino heads through the last corners now, and he'll be looking for the exit. His ERS isn't all that good, but neither is Tom's. He should have the upper hand here. Look at the run he's already got, and the DRS is open. The final lap is started here in Zandvoort. Dino, he'll have to go for a proper dive but he wants to move, and he's not going to be able to do so. Will that be the last opportunity as we see Andrea and CC Brain fighting away? This is now for 5th place, remember, thanks to the Baraka incident earlier on. And it looks like Andrea has put himself in the box seat to be the man who takes advantage. These soft tyres starting to lose their grip. Back at the front is Tom, still holding on to the grip of that P1. It is no ERS left on the table for Dino. And I think Devon, he spies a 2nd place. Where's he going to go for the move? He has to go for it, surely. He can't just let this slide. You can see that Dino's falling away. Even putting his car on the inside, it might be enough just to spook Dino out of the way, as the ERS and the DRS are all going to be dumped here. And Dino just doesn't have the power, but he does have the DRS, and it's going to be enough to keep him ahead. And I don't think either of them are going to be able to challenge Tom now, who, unless he makes any sort of mistake, is going to be coming through. And it was going to be a fantastic move hit he made all by himself to come through and take an incredible 2nd victory of the season. He took the initiative, he took the victory, and Devon on the line! Devon on the line has taken P2, and it will be a 12-point swing in the championship fight then. 62 plays 73. And what a race we had in the end. Fantastic stuff. Tom as well will find himself, what, just 2 points behind Devon in all this. But Tom, he went for the move a couple of laps ago. It was a fair enough move. It put Dino in a such a difficult position, and the contact with Baraka meant that Tom was able to sail through, and his aggressive manoeuvre, it worked out for him in the end. And it is a move for the win. I personally don't see anything too wrong with it. I do wonder if other drivers will have something else to say about it. I felt it was a fair enough thing to do. You know, going 3 wide isn't illegal, and well, if they don't see you coming, they don't see you coming. And I'm sure there'll be some sort of investigation though. But I'd imagine if anyone's going to put any blame on that, they'd be putting the blame at Dino's door. Because I'm pretty sure, and I'll watch it back now, I'm pretty sure that Tom didn't actually touch anyone. He went for the inside, stayed committed. A perfectly fair move. And yeah, I think Dino just found himself caught between a rock and a hard place. Perhaps just broke too late and couldn't go anywhere. But doesn't really matter for the top two. They've got their ideal results, really. Tom has won the race, Devin second, Dino third. Will there be penalties? We'll wait and see. Either way, 15th to 3rd, not a bad run. Jackson 4th, Andrea 5th, CC Brain 6th, Mateo 7th, Nicolo 8th, Ricky 9th, Steph 10th place. Then outside we have Azzy, Cameron, Kazizzle and Barak, who did get that fastest lap in the end, and the retirements, Cone, Frankie and Kryptonite. Driver today, do you know what, just for that move alone, for how difficult this track is with the way the DRS trains are, you're going to be super tactical with the way you go for your race winning moves. And I'm pretty sure you couldn't really have executed one better than Tom did. He took the opportunity on the inside, he committed, and he won the race. So I'd happily call him driver today. Honourable mention to Dino for the genius of the strategy call. And it was pure genius, wasn't it? To stick the inters on, it put him in that lead fight, it nearly gave him a victory. I'm not going to be able to interview the drivers on this particular occasion, but I can tell you where we are next. And well, if you thought that was good, we had a track where you can't really race very well. Produce a good race. Brazil, perfectly designed for it. So we will definitely be seeing some good action there. It's a good track in terms of PSGL. There's always been some good races there. Here we had a very good season finale for, what was it, season 28 for F2. So plenty of good memories of this track, and we will hopefully make more next Monday. But for now, that is me. I have been your commentator, Omar. Thank you for watching. Jess will hopefully be back next week, and we will be Interlagos, and I hope you enjoyed the solo stream. I hope I kept you all entertained, and we will see you all next week. So take care, safe travels, and enjoy the F1, which is on right now. Their qualifying session should be at an end. They'll be looking to start their race, so I will shut up and let you go and enjoy that. See you later.